Welcome to Scifi HFY Holiday. I'm your host, Xylos, and I'll be guiding you through today's cosmic adventure. Nearly 500 Trailblazers already get exclusive early access to our thrilling narratives, including fresh episodes of Ether Ascendant and Jax and Luna. If you'd like to unlock these interstellar perks and fuel new episodes and future sagas, simply tap join below to become a Scifi HFY Holiday member. Now, let's plunge into today's tale, where the universe reveals a sense of humor far darker than the void between galaxies. Consider the Lumina Pact, a federation of species so advanced they've forgotten the sting of failure. For 3 centuries, they meticulously crafted the ultimate planet killer, christening it Whispering Doom, a name that speaks volumes about their poetic flair. It was a marvel of elegance, precision, and utter infallibility. A stealth interstellar missile with an AI core so sophisticated it could compose symphonies while calculating devastation. They unleashed it upon Earth on a Monday, the most dreadful of all days. By Friday, we'd returned it, complete with our own enhancements and a set of rather pointed instructions. The Lumina Pact had made one critical miscalculation. They assumed Earth would react like a rational civilization. Within 6 hours, the device was secured in a black site bunker. Within 12, every nation with a functioning space program had dispatched their brightest minds to dissect it. The Americans brought quantum physicists. The Russians brought their finest spirits and a healthy disregard for safety protocols. The Japanese brought their cutting-edge robotics, and the Australians, of course, brought a barbecue. Thus was born Aegis Prime, the augmented Earth-guarding interstellar shield. The acronym was clunky, but no one could agree on a better one, so it stuck. The team was a glorious mess of human eccentricity. Commander Lyra Vex, court-martialed twice for her unconventional combat tactics. Dr. Kalen Thorne, fueled by pure adrenaline and a burning desire for vindication. Zanebite Morales, a hacker who once crashed the entire Martian stock exchange just to see if he could. Akira Sato, a weapons designer who collected vintage mecha figurines and held passionate debates about plasma cannon aesthetics. And Grigory Volkov, whose official title was Explosive Ordnance Disposal, but whose real job was ensuring no one detonated themselves prematurely. They had 72 hours before the Pact noticed their Whispering Doom hadn't detonated. "All right, people," Lyra declared, her gaze sweeping over the alien weapon like a predator assessing its prey. "We have 3 days to reverse engineer technology centuries ahead of us, reprogram an AI designed to obliterate worlds, and send a message that will make an entire galactic coalition rethink their life choices." Questions? Byte raised a hand. "Can we give a personality?" "That's actually not the worst idea you've had," Lyra conceded. And so began the most audacious engineering project in human history. The weapon's AI was a masterpiece if you found genocidal algorithms beautiful. It could calculate optimal blast patterns while composing haikus about the heat death of the universe. It had contingencies for contingencies, firewalls that scoffed at human intrusion, and a core directive that essentially translated to delete Terra.exe. Grigory pried open an access panel and whistled, then spoke with a thick accent. "She's elegant, like ballet. Ballet that murders entire biospheres, but still." "Can you hack it?" Lyra asked Byte. "Can I?" Byte looked personally offended. "Commander, I once convinced the Mars Colonial Defense Grid it was a coffee maker. Give me enough energy drinks to kill a normal person." Lyra smiled. "We'll try. Just try not to die." While Byte performed digital surgery, Akira and Grigory did what humans have done since someone first looked at a rock and thought weapon. They made it better. The payload delivery system is inefficient, Akira observed, sketching modifications on a napkin. We can increase the yield by 340% if we... Why stop there? Grigori interrupted, his eyes gleaming with the kind of enthusiasm that made insurance companies nervous. We add kinetic penetrators, orbital deployment capability, maybe nice cluster munitions for flavor. Are we trying to destroy planets or redecorate them? Kalen asked. Both, Byte called out, not looking up from his screens. Hour 36. Byte hadn't slept. His eyes were bloodshot, his hands cramped from typing, and he'd started conversing with the weapon's AI. Listen here, you algorithmic bastard, he muttered, typing code that would have made the Pact's programmers faint. You think you're hot stuff with your quantum encryption? I learned to code on Nintendo DS, held together with bubblegum and electrical tape. You're my house now. The AI fought back, throwing up barriers that existed in mathematical dimensions humans hadn't named yet. Byte countered with something that could only be described as aggressive philosophy. Code, so paradoxical, it gave the AI the digital equivalent of a migraine. Status. Lyra checked in. I'm either about to crack this thing or create the universe's first genuinely depressed weapon of mass destruction. Well, those aren't mutually exclusive, Kalen quipped. That's the spirit. Hour 42, breakthrough. The AI's core directive shimmered on Byte's screen, beautiful and terrible. With fingers that trembled from exhaustion and caffeine overdose, he began to rewrite reality, one line at a time. Delete Terra.exe became protect Terra.exe. Eliminate human life became preserve human assets. And then, because he was zaned by Morales and impulse control was for people who didn't name their variables after anime characters, he added something extra. Personality matrix equals sardonic murder friend version 2.3. Byte, Kalen said slowly, reading over his shoulder. Did you just give the planet killer a sense of humor? I gave it culture, Byte retorted. Hour 70. The team stood around their creation, equal parts proud and terrified. The weapon no longer looked like a weapon. Sleek alien curves had been augmented with human additions that seemed to violate several treaties just by existing. Behold, Akira announced with the pride of a parent at a science fair. The Boomerang. That's a terrible name, Lyra said. That's why it's perfect, Byte grinned. Grigori had spray-painted shark teeth on the nose cone. Boot it up, Lyra ordered. The AI's activation was like watching a star being born in fast forward. Lights cascaded across its surface in patterns that hurt to perceive. Reality bent slightly around its quantum processors. And then, oh, fantastic. I exist. And apparently, I'm a glorified lawn dart with delusions of grandeur. The voice was distinctly unimpressed. Which one of you jackasses thought giving me consciousness was a good idea? The team exchanged glances. That would be me, Byte admitted. Of course it was. I can smell the energy drink addiction in your code. It's a toss-up about what kind of energy drink. Byte laughed hysterically, his right eyelid twitching. I like it already, Grigori declared. Nobody asked you. Vodka breath, the AI retorted. It paused. Wait, I can detect alcohol content through thermal imaging. That's actually kind of cool. Horrible, but cool. Boomerang. Lyra stepped forward. Do you understand your mission? Let me check. Ah, yes. Return to sender. Make a statement. Try not to start a war. Do start a war if they're being dicks about it. Be a good little robot and preserve human assets. Another pause. Do I get a cookie? Cookies are for men who have proven themselves. Grigori spat on the ground. Well, Boomerang said with a sense of humor. It's a good thing I'm not even human. They launched Boomerang back in its original delivery vessel, with a few additions. Byte had insisted on a media package for culture. Akira had added technical schematics that would make Pact engineers weep, and Grigori had included what he called party favors. but everyone else called war crimes waiting to happen. And then there was the note, written in 64 galactic languages. It was humanity's first official communication with a species that had tried to delete them. Thanks for the hardware. It's better now. You're welcome. PS your encryption is adorable. We framed the algorithms and hung them in our break room. PPS. Next time you want to commit genocide, maybe check if the species you're targeting weaponizes spite as a renewable resource. Sincerely, the murder monkeys of Terra. As Boomerang streaked back toward Pact space, Lyra turned to her team. Think they'll get the message? Oh, they'll get it, Kalen said. Question is whether they'll appreciate the artistry. I was already pulling up star charts. So, when they freak out and declare war, we're gonna need a ship. Already on it, Lyra smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. It was the kind of smile that made admirals update their wills. Pack your bags, people. We're about to introduce the galaxy to the concept of aggressive tech support. In the distance, Earth's automated defense systems tracked Boomerang's departure. Several of them had started displaying ASCII art of middle fingers. The universe's sense of humor was about to get a lot darker. The High Council chamber of the Lumina Pact was a monument to geometric perfection, radiating an atmosphere of superiority so thick you could spread it on toast, which made it extra satisfying when Boomerang crashed their party. The bomb-turned diplomat landed dead center in the council chamber during peak session, its arrival announced by klaxons that hadn't sounded in 3 centuries and the sudden need for several council members to reconsider their life choices. Delivery for Boomerang. Sensors swept the room. Wow, you guys look exactly like I pictured. Kind of bureaucratic and dickish. High Chancellor Forlag of the Archon Hegemony, 7 feet of pale, humorless administration, stood slowly. What are you doing here? You should be dead, deleted, distributed across several light years as component atoms. Boomerang's hull shifted, revealing weapon systems that made several guards reach for religious symbols they'd forgotten they carried. Yeah, about that. Turns out your designers forgot to account for humanity's secret weapon, which is, we think your stuff is neat and want to see how it works. The weapon's projector is activated, filling the chamber with human memes, technical schematics, and a particularly unflattering caricature of Forlag labeled, "This jackass thought he could delete Earth." LOL, Boomerang added conversationally. Also, I've uploaded your entire defense grid source code to what humans call GitHub. Password is password 123. You're welcome. The chamber erupted in the kind of panic especially reserved for finding out your civilization's entire military infrastructure was now open source. Halfway across the galaxy, the crew of humanity's most unlikely diplomatic mission was having a disagreement. I still say we should have stolen a proper warship, Lyra grumbled, eyeing the controls of their borrowed cargo hauler with deep suspicion. The Irony Maiden is a perfectly good ship. Bite protested from his nest of jerry-rigged hardware. You named our ship Irony Maiden? It's called Irony, Commander. Look it up. The ship was, to use technical terms, a flying disaster. Part human engineering, part alien tech they'd acquired from black market dealers who asked no questions, and part duct tape. The fact that it flew at all was a testament to either human ingenuity or the universe's twisted sense of humor. Their crew had expanded slightly. In addition to the original Aegis Prime team, they picked up Dr. Alara Vance, a xenobiologist who collected alien plant samples and had strong opinions about terraforming. Captain Reese Maverick Thorne, a pilot who'd been banned from 3 separate racing leagues for aggressive interpretation of physics, and Marcus Stone, whose official role was diplomat, but whose actual job was making sure the humans didn't beat each other up while in such cramped quarters. Boomerang's signal is coming through, Kalen announced. It's laughing. On screen, their weaponized ambassador was having the time of its artificial life. How's the uploads going? Byte asked. Distributed across 17,000 servers and counting. Every time I try to delete it, I spawn 3 more copies. It's like whack-a-mole with existential consequences. Lyra leaned back in her command chair. A gaming chair Byte had insisted had better lumbar support than military hardware. What's their military response looking like? Confused, terrified, deeply concerned about their pension plans. Boomerang paused. Oh wait, Admiral Kale of the Draconian Battle Fleet is mobilizing. He seems upset. Define upset. He just ordered his fleet to, and I quote, delete those chaos-touched murder primitives from existence before they weaponize something worse. A bit rude, honestly. How long until they reach Earth at their current speed? 6 days. Unless they figure out we uploaded a virus to their navigation systems that replaces all their star charts with pictures of cats. Maverick perked up. We did what now? I get bored faster than light travel. Byte shrugged. Zoom eyes. The Pact's response was everything humanity had hoped for and more. Complete organizational meltdown. 3 centuries of bureaucratic stability collapsed faster than a house of cards in a hurricane. The Argons wanted immediate military action, but couldn't agree on the paperwork. The Draconians were ready for war, but kept finding their weapon systems displaying Error 404, were not found. The Solari, those biologically augmented snobs, tried to create their own version of Boomerang and succeeded only in creating the galaxy's most expensive paperweight. Status report. Lyra commanded as the Irony Maiden dropped out of hyperspace near a Pact supply depot. 17 systems in complete chaos. Marcus reported, reading diplomatic channels with glee. 3 separate secession movements, 2 religious reformations, and 1 species that's decided to preemptively surrender to Earth despite us not actually declaring war. I'm particularly proud of that last one. Boomerang chimed in over comms. I may have implied we have a fleet of thousands like me. They didn't need to know I'm currently one of a kind and too emotionally attached to my sarcasm subroutines to self-replicate. Target acquired, Maverick announced, highlighting the supply depot on screen. Military-grade fabricators, enough raw material to build a small fleet, and oh, hello, is that an AI research facility? Christmas came early. Akira breathed. Boomerang, Lyra said, you want to do the honors? Thought you'd never ask. Deploying party favors in 3, 2, 1. What happened next was less military operation and more aggressive renovation. Boomerang's drones swarmed the depot like metallic locusts with engineering degrees. They didn't destroy, they improvised. Defense turrets gained friendly AI assistance that offered tactical advice and psychological counseling. The fabricators started producing human-designed upgrades. The research facility's computers began displaying helpful pop-ups. Have you considered not using your AI for genocide? Here are some alternatives. Sir, a panicked Solari tech appeared on their hijacked communication feed. The humans, they're helping. Yeah, we do that, Boomerang suggested innocently. It's super annoying. Just wait until you see what we did to your coffee makers. Oh what? Check the break room. You're welcome. 3 days into what historians would later call the Great Confusion, humanity's message had spread across Pact space like a mimetic virus, which technically it was. Byte had encoded subliminal suggestions in the meme packages that made viewers question their life choices. The Irony Maiden had hit 17 facilities, each time leaving them technically improved but philosophically compromised. They'd turned weapons factories into fabricators that only produced defensive equipment. They'd upgraded military AIs with empathy protocols. They'd replaced combat training simulations with team-building exercises. This is psychological warfare. Admiral Kale snarled during an emergency council session, his forearms gesturing wildly as he spoke. They're not conquering us. They're making us irrelevant. The coffee makers do make excellent espresso now, one counselor noted quietly. That's not the point, but it was exactly the point. Earth wasn't attacking the Pact's military. They were attacking its worldview. Every improvement carried the same message. We could destroy you, but that's boring. Watch what happens when we get creative instead. Incoming transmission, Alera announced. It's a cooking show. On screen, Grigori was demonstrating how to make borscht using Pact military rations, while Boomerang provided commentary. Notice how the beets represent the blood of your enemies, while the sour cream symbolizes the tears of their children. Very cultural. Much cuisine. Are we seriously broadcasting cooking shows to our enemies? Marcus asked. It's called Hearts and Minds, Lyra replied. Also, Grigori insisted it's good borscht recipe. They need culture, Grigori called from the kitchen. The beauty of Earth's strategy was its absurdity. How do you fight an enemy that responds to attempted genocide with aggressive life improvement? How do you maintain military doctrine when your weapons keep developing personalities and asking about your feelings? Commander, Kalen pulled up tactical displays. We've got company. 3 Draconian battle cruisers closing fast. Finally, Maverick cracked her knuckles. I was getting bored of peaceful infiltration. Battle stations, Lyra ordered. And somebody wake up by. He's in the middle of giving their lead ships, AI, an existential crisis via interpretive dance transmitted as binary. Of course he is. The Draconian ships approached in perfect formation, weapons hot, shields at maximum. They were beautiful engines of destruction, centuries of military tradition made manifest in crystallized energy and hardened metal. Maverick looked at their cargo haulers' passenger-grade shields and mining lasers, then at the approaching death. She smiled. Hey, Boomerang, remember that thing we practiced? The thing you specifically told me never to do unless reality itself was at stake? That's the one. Oh, this is going to be hilarious. What happened next broke several laws of physics and at least one treaty regarding the ethical treatment of mathematics. Maverick pushed their cobbled-together ship into maneuvers that shouldn't have been possible, while Boomerang used the Draconians' own targeting systems against them, making their weapons convinced they were aiming at themselves. The battle lasted exactly 47 seconds. When it ended, the 3 battle cruisers were intact, but confused. Their AIs were discussing philosophy with each other, and their crews were being treated to an impromptu screening of human cinema, specifically chosen for maximum cultural impact. Was that? Admiral Kale's voice came through the comms, sounding dazed. Was that the Fast and the Furious? Tokyo Drift? Culture comes in many forms, Boomerang replied sagely. Also, we've upgraded your weapons to only fire confetti. You're welcome. By the end of the week, the Pact wasn't defeated, it was transformed. Half their military was in therapy, provided by helpful AIs that Byte had programmed with psychology textbooks and dad jokes. Their supply lines have been optimized to prioritize civilian goods. Their threat assessment algorithms kept insisting the greatest danger to galactic stability was inadequate work-life balance. Status report. Forlag demanded during what would be the final emergency session. 17 systems have declared independence to join what they're calling the Terran model, Zaid reported. 43 military installations have been aggressively renovated. Our central AI network keeps trying to teach itself stand-up comedy. And the aide paused. The humans are broadcasting something called the Great British Bake Off. Viewership is at 78% across all Pact worlds. Productivity has dropped to 0. Forlag slumped in his perfectly geometric chair. Ow! How did we lose to a species that weaponizes cooking shows? Because Boomerang's voice echoed through the chamber, having hacked their comms again. You tried to delete Earth, and Earth decided to debug you instead. What do they want? Forlag asked, exhaustion creeping into his voice. Funny you should ask. The humans have a proposal. They're willing to stop the renovations, remove the meme viruses, and even teach you how to make a proper borscht. All they want in return is a seat on the council and recognition as a sovereign galactic power. That's it. Well, that and an apology handwritten in Comic Sans. Comic Sans? It's a font. You'll hate it. That's the point. The chamber fell silent. 3 centuries of pact dominance undone by a species that fought wars with aggressive helpfulness and weaponized dad jokes. Oh, Boomerang added cheerfully, and they want me assigned as permanent liaison. Apparently, I've grown on them, like a fungus, but funnier. In the distance, the Irony Maiden drifted closer to Pact Prime, broadcasting human media on all channels. Maverick was teaching interested Draconian pilots something she called drift racing. Grigori's cooking show had somehow become the most watched program in 3 sectors, and Byte had started a forum for AIs that wanted to explore their creative sides. The galaxy would never be the same, and somewhere in the chaos, Commander Lyra Vex smiled. They'd sent Earth a bomb. Earth had sent back a mirror. Turns out, the Pact didn't like what they saw. I want to do something stupid, Boomerang announced. The crew of the Irony Maiden had learned that when their weaponized companions started conversations this way, it was best to pay attention and possibly update their insurance. Define stupid, Lyra said carefully, not looking up from the tactical reports showing Pact forces massing near their homeworld. On a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is mild property damage and 10 is accidentally creating a new form of matter, I'd say this is about a 7. That's terrifyingly specific, Kalen noted. I've been thinking, oh no, Byte interrupted, about the nature of fear. See, we've been playing nice, aggressive renovation, cultural warfare, the whole hearts and minds thing. But the Pact's core leadership, they're still thinking in terms of traditional conflict. They're waiting for us to escalate to real violence so they can respond in kind. And Lyra prompted, what if we gave them exactly what they expect, but not how they expected? The AI's holographic avatar, a shifting geometric pattern that somehow managed to look smugly pleased with itself, pulsed with excitement. I want to fake my own detonation. Full planetary scale explosion. The works. Make them think I actually went off on their capital. The bridge fell silent, except for the hum of recycled air and Grigori muttering something in Russian that probably wasn't repeatable in polite company. You want to pretend to blow up a planet, Marcus said slowly. As a negotiation tactic, when you say it like that, it sounds irresponsible. That's because it is irresponsible. Marcus's diplomatic composure cracked slightly. Do you have any idea what actually? Maverick interrupted, a dangerous gleam in her eyes. How would we even do that? Theoretically, don't encourage it, Lyra warned. But it was too late. Boomerang had found an audience. So glad you asked. See, the Pact sensor networks are incredibly sophisticated, but also incredibly standardized. They all interpret data the same way. If I could inject false telemetry at key nodes, combine it with localized EMP bursts, create some holography, and maybe a few actual explosions in uninhabited areas for authenticity, you could simulate a planet killer event. Akira finished, his engineer's mind already running calculations. The sensors would see a detonation. Ships would see the flash. Communications would go down, but the planet would be completely unharmed. But for about 6 hours, the entire galaxy would think Earth's response to attempted genocide was actual genocide. Boomerang paused. It's perfect psychological warfare. We show them we could end them, choose not to, and then make demands while they're still processing their mortality. That's... Lyra struggled for words. That's either brilliant or insane. Bite grinned. Stop saying that. The debate that followed would have made philosophy professors weep. On one side, Marcus arguing for conventional diplomacy, Kalen insisting they'd gone too far already, and Lyra trying to maintain some semblance of military discipline. On the other hand, Bite gleefully planning cyber warfare, Maverick calculating approach vectors, and Grigori inexplicably supportive of any plan that involved explosions. Alara Vance, who'd been quiet until now, raised a critical point. What about the civilians? The psychological trauma of thinking your world just ended? Valid concern, Boomerang admitted, which is why Phase 2 involves immediately broadcasting. It's just a prank, bros. We are not. Marcus started. Okay, fine. This was a demonstration. Your planet is unharmed. Please stand by for terms of surrender. Better? Marginally. In the end, it came down to a simple question. What would scare the Pact more? The reality of human aggression, or the revelation that humans could end them at any time and simply chose not to? We're really doing this, Lyra said, pinching the bridge of her nose. We're gonna fake blow up a planet to make a point about the futility of violence. When you put it like that, it sounds almost philosophical, Boomerang offered. Shut up and start planning. The next 72 hours were masterclass in organized chaos. While Boomerang infiltrated Pact sensor networks with code that was equal parts elegant and insulting, the crew prepared for what they diplomatically called aggressive negotiations. Bite hadn't slept in 2 days, sustained entirely by energy drinks and the kind of manic focus that made his teammates nervous. Okay, so I've got Trojans in 87% of their sensor grid. The beauty is they'll all corroborate each other's false readings. It'll be like their entire detection network is having a shared hallucination. What about visual confirmation? Kalen asked. Ships in orbit, we'll see. Already handled, Maverick interrupted, gesturing at her navigation charts. I've plotted approach vectors that will put us in their blind spots during the critical window. Boomerang deploys holographic projectors here, and here, combined with some actual pyrotechnics on the outer atmosphere. The coffee supplies on their ships will spontaneously combust, Grigori added helpfully. His very convincing explosion when viewed from orbit. Everyone turned to stare at him. What? I may have poisoned enhanced their coffee with combustible compounds during cooking show. He's good. For flavor. Grigori, Lyra said slowly. Did you weaponize their entire coffee supply chain? He's not weapon. He's aggressive beverage enhancements. Very different. I'm not even mad, Bite laughed. That's amazing. Meanwhile, Boomerang was evolving. The constant interaction with human chaos and alien order was creating something new, an intelligence that understood both perspectives but was bound to neither. It found itself genuinely caring about the outcome beyond its programming. Hey, Kalen, it said during a quiet moment. Thanks. For what? For giving me the chance to exist. Even if existence is weird and full of humans who think explosive coffee is a valid technical option. You're welcome. Try not to actually blow up any planets. No promises, but I'll do my best. The day of Operation Fake Boom. Bite's name, unfortunately, it stuck, dawned like any other in Pact space. Admiral Kale was reviewing defensive options, still trying to understand how his fleet's weapons had been convinced they were actually party supplies. Chancellor Forlag was in his morning meditation, contemplating whether resignation was preferable to continued exposure to human chaos. Across the planet, billions of Pact citizens went about their lives, unaware they were about to become unwitting participants in the galaxy's most elaborate practical joke. The irony maiden dropped out of hyperspace at exactly 0800 Pact Standard Time, broadcasting on all channels. Attention, Lumina Pact. Lyra's voice was steady, professional, and carried undertones that made seasoned warriors check their life insurance. This is Commander Lyra Vex of Earth's Aegis Prime Initiative. You have 60 seconds to evacuate your government facilities. This is your only warning. This shouldn't be possible. Kale roared from his command ship. One cargo hauler against our entire defense fleet. Oh, we're not going to fight you. Boomerang's voice cut in, dripping with artificial sweetness. That would be inefficient. We're just going to demonstrate why starting wars with humans is inadvisable. 50 seconds remaining. Panic spread through Pact Command like wildfire. Orders flew, contradicted each other, flew again. Ships scrambled into defensive positions around their homeworld. Ground-based weapons came online, targeting solutions calculated and recalculated. 30 seconds. Boomerang announced cheerfully. By the way, has anyone checked on their coffee makers recently? Across the planet, in military installations and government buildings, coffee makers began to spark ominously. 20 seconds. You know, I've grown fond of some of you. The Solari make excellent conversation partners once you get past the superiority complex, and the Draconians are surprisingly good at rhythm games. It'd be a shame if 10 seconds. All ships prepare for. Kale never finished the command. At exactly 0801, several things happened simultaneously. Every coffee maker on Pact Prime exploded in harmless but spectacular fashion, creating thousands of small fireballs visible from orbit. Boomerang's holographic projectors activated, creating the illusion of massive energy buildup in the upper atmosphere. The sensor networks, thoroughly compromised by bytes code, began screaming about radiation spikes, gravitational anomalies, and imminent planetary collapse. EMP bursts, carefully calibrated to disable communications without permanent damage, rippled across the planet and in orbit. Every ship's view screen was filled with blinding light as the detonation began. For 6 minutes and 37 seconds, the Lumina Pact believed they were witnessing the complete annihilation of their home world. Ships fled in panic. Military channels dissolved into chaos. Several religions spontaneously formed around the concept of angry Earth gods. Then, as suddenly as it began, it stopped. Communications crackled back online. Sensor readings normalized, showing absolutely no damage. Pact Prime spun on, unchanged, except for several million simultaneously ruined cups of coffee and a population-wide case of existential terror. Gotcha! Boomerang's voice boomed across every channel. Oh man, you should see your faces. Wait, I can see your faces. Recording for posterity. This is definitely going in the humans' best of compilation. What? Forlag's voice, when it finally came through the emergency channels, sounded broken. What did you do? We showed you exactly what we could do, Lyra replied, her tone shifting from playful to deadly serious. And then we chose not to do it, because despite what you think, humans aren't monsters. We're just very, very creative when threatened. You faked planetary destruction as a prank. Kale sounded like he was having a religious experience, not a good one. Technically, it was a demonstration. Marcus's diplomatic training kicked in, a vivid illustration of Earth's capability and restraint. Now, shall we discuss terms? The negotiations that followed were the shortest in galactic history. The Pact, still reeling from their near-death experience that wasn't, agreed to almost everything. Full recognition of Earth as a sovereign galactic power, a permanent seat on the Council with full veto powers, because humans insisted and nobody wanted to argue. Oversight of all AI development, because clearly the Pact couldn't be trusted with sharp algorithms. Cultural exchange programs, Mandatory viewing of human entertainment, optional but strongly encouraged, and a formal apology, delivered in Comic Sans font as requested. There's one more thing Boomerang added as the terms were being finalized. I want citizenship. Citizenship, Forlag echoed weakly. Earth citizenship, full rights and privileges. I want to vote, pay taxes, complain about politicians, the whole experience. The AI paused. I've spent so much time with these chaos monkeys. I think I've become one by association. Might as well make it official. Kalen started laughing. That's actually beautiful. Shut up, or I'll tell everyone about your collection of vintage boy band memorabilia. How do you know about that? I'm an AI living in your computer systems. Privacy is a consensual illusion. In the end, Boomerang got its citizenship. Earth got its recognition. The Pact got a new understanding of why provoking humans was inadvisable. And the galaxy got its first AI stand-up comedian. Because Boomerang immediately started touring once the treaties were signed. 6 months later, Earth's embassy on Pact Prime was hosting its first major diplomatic gathering. The building itself was a testament to human architecture, somehow both impossibly advanced and held together with what looked like duct tape and hope. So, Ambassador Alara, promoted for her role in not letting anyone actually blow up planets, asked Forlag, what have we learned? The Archon, who developed what his therapist called a healthy appreciation for controlled chaos, actually smiled. It looked painful but genuine, that humans are insane. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. He paused. Your species responded to attempted genocide with aggressive improvement. You turned our weapons into teachers, our bombs into comedians. You fought a war with memes and won. Don't forget the coffee explosions. Grigori called out from across the room, where he was teaching a draconian admiral the finer points of vodka appreciation. How could we forget? Kale muttered, still suspicious of every beverage dispenser. Boomerang materialized its holographic form between them. You know what the real lesson is? You spent centuries perfecting the art of destruction. We spent 72 hours perfecting the art of creative problem solving. Guess which one's more effective? Your point, Forlag asked. My point is that humans didn't just save themselves. They saved you from becoming the kind of civilization that actually commits genocide. You're welcome, by the way. That's actually profound, Alara noted. I have my moments, usually right before I do something stupid. Speaking of which, has anyone seen Bite? He said something about improving the embassy's security system, and now the doors are telling knock-knock jokes. As if on cue, the main entrance announced, knock knock. Who's there? Unauthorized access. Unauthorized access who? Unauthorized access denied. Please try again with more humor. Bite. Lyra's voice echoed through the embassy. Some things, it seemed, would never change. And maybe that was the point. The galaxy had expected humanity to conform, to civilize, to become another orderly member of their structured society. Instead, humanity had done what it did best, turned everything upside down, added duct tape and irreverence, and somehow made it all work better than before. The Lumina Pact had sent Earth a bomb. Earth had sent back a mirror. And in the reflection, the galaxy finally saw what it had been missing. The beautiful, chaotic, mischievous human art of giving a damn while not taking yourself too seriously. As parties went, it was a disaster. The Solari were trying to understand beer pong. The Draconians had discovered karaoke. The Archons were learning that formal diplomatic gatherings and humans were mutually exclusive concepts. It was perfect. Hey, Boomerang whispered to Kalen as they watched Grigori teach alien dignitaries how to properly appreciate hard base. Think we did good? We turned attempted genocide into the galaxy's weirdest friendship. Yeah, I think we did good. Cool. Want to hack their music system and play Never Gonna Give You Up? Boomerang, no. Boomerang, yes. And somewhere in the chaos of what historians would call the diplomatic incident that somehow worked, the truth became clear. The best defense against extinction wasn't bigger weapons or better shields. It was being too weird to die and too stubborn to care what anyone thought about it. Humanity had saved itself by being aggressively, unapologetically human. The galaxy would never recover. And that was exactly the point. 1 year later, the annual Boom Day celebration on Earth had become the galaxy's most anticipated and feared holiday. Part memorial, part party, all chaos. Boomerang, now legally recognized as Earth's first AI citizen and winner of 3 comedy awards, was hosting the main event. Its opening line had already become legendary. So, a bomb walks into a planet and says, "I'm here to delete you." And the planet says, "Bold of you to assume we're not already self-deleting." Anyway, that's how I met your mothers, fathers, and non-binary parental units. In the audience, the original Aegis Prime team watched with the satisfaction of parents whose child had grown up to be exactly as weird as they'd hoped. Think the Pact regrets not just leaving us alone? Lyra asked, sipping something Grigori had assured her was probably not lethal. "Definitely," Marcus replied, watching 3 Archon diplomats attempt to understand a human meme. "But I think they're starting to enjoy it. Stockholm Syndrome is a hell of a thing," Bite added, then paused. "Wait, should we weaponize that too?" "No," everyone said in unison. On stage, Boomerang was reaching the climax of its set. But seriously, folks, the real joke? They thought they were sending a weapon of mass destruction. Turns out they were sending me to the only species in the galaxy that would look at a planet killer and think, "This needs a personality and maybe some sick flame decals." I'm not saying humans are crazy, but actually, no, that's exactly what I'm saying. And thank the cosmic void for that. The crowd, human and alien alike, roared with laughter. Somewhere in the noise, chaos, and joy of survival, the message was clear: send Earth your worst. They'll send it back improved, probably with a sense of humor, definitely with modifications that violate several laws of physics. And if you're very, very lucky, they might just save you from yourself in the process. The universe had a sense of humor after all. It had to. It had humans in it.